Major shake-up for Navy today, announced $11 billion, but as I said, that's not real money. Richard Marles, the Defence Minister, says it's the largest scale-up for the Royal Australian Navy since the end of the Second World War. Well, that's his view. Let's bring in an expert and work out what's fact and what's possibly fiction. Joining me now, Head of Research at the Australian Strategic Policy Institute, Marcus Hellyer. Marcus, thank you for your time. I'll start with the funding. We'll get into the kit that's there on the wish list from the Minister, but this $11 billion spend, we've actually only got a real 1.7. Now, part of the challenge with defence always is secure funding. And we know with the earlier defence review last year, they were sort of borrowing money from robbing Peter to pay Paul. What's your view of the devil in the detail on the funding, please?
Okay, so no government funding is actually guaranteed because our budgets only go for 1 year. So the question is, what certainty has the government given to defence for long-term planning? So defence really plans on 10 or even 20-year cycles. So has the government told defence they can plan on getting that $11.1 billion? And the answer seems to be yes. Of course, a future government can come along and say, we're not going to give you that money, but that applies to any government program. So I think the good news about this announcement today is the government has said it's putting additional money into defence. Will that be enough for what we have to do? That's a separate question. I think we're in a really, really big hole, and it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of money to dig ourselves out from it.
I just spoke with Andrew Clennell about the detail of what's on the table announced today, Hunter-class frigates, etc. But are we getting the ships we need? And how confident are you, given the issue, that $65 billion cost blow we had with those Hunter frigates? Are we getting the right ships? Now, are we scaling them? Are they going to arrive at the right time that we could potentially need them for a conflict to our north?
Well, the truth is we're in a terrible state, and you may not want to hear it, your listeners may not want to hear it, but the previous government shipbuilding plan was an absolute disaster. We spent $4 billion on the French submarines before we realised we didn't want them. We've now spent $2 billion on the offshore patrol vessels before deciding they're not the right ship. And we've spent $4 billion already on the Hunter-class frigates, and we sort of seem to think they're probably not the right ships, but we kind of got to keep going because we've spent $4 billion. So that's the hole we're in. I think on the whole, this new plan is better than the old plan, but it's pretty ambitious. So the Deputy Prime Minister said we're going to try and get new warships by the end of this decade. Well, where we are now, that's only 5 or 6 years away, and that's a pretty racy timeline for new warships. So I think this is better, but a lot of things have to fall into place to actually deliver. A key one is we truly have to go with off-the-shelf ships. That's always been a problem for defence. It says it wants off-the-shelf, but then it ends up, seeking perfection and redesigning everything from scratch. So it's possible we could do better than the old plan, but there has to be discipline inside defence.
Well, you and I would go well back beyond that current catalogue of failure from the last government. We can go right back, basically, I think even to the very early design of the Collins-class submarines. I mean, ministers take advice from the department and all the experts, and of course we have the experts do these reviews and governments implement them. Politicians don't say, this boat over that boat. They take the recommendation, as I say, from the Defence Department. When are we ever going to see, Marcus, heads roll in the Defence Department for recommendations that they've put to governments of both sides of politics that have been so far away from what we need, and we literally waste tens of billions of dollars for those same defence bureaucrats to come back and tell the next government, we made a mistake, they're not the right ones, we've got to go down this path. Where's the accountability?
Well, Peter, that is my favourite question. Where is the accountability? So that failed shipbuilding plan that I just quickly ran through, that was based entirely on advice from Defence. Defence got exactly what it asked for from the government, and here we are down the track, having spent $10 billion not getting what we wanted. Have any heads rolled? I think the answer is no. We saw it last week at estimates with the terrible situation where we now have commanding one of the Army's brigades, or second in command, an accused Fijian human rights perpetrator. And the chief of the Defence Force sat there and said, well, we didn't do due diligence and I'm accountable. Where are their heads rolling? So we see it all the way across defence. And I don't think there will be improvements in the quality of advice to government from defence until heads do start to roll.
I couldn't agree more, Mark Hellyer. Thank you for your time.